All of the Night, episode 2. So, I do. This episode was great. I think it was a step up from the last episode. It kind of kicks off with an old vampire, Kiku, trying to get with this kid, uh, which is one of Ko's friends, and she kind of is. The guy, Miharu, kind of meets her at the bar, and he's kind of like trying to talk to her about how he feels Ko's doing something reckless, and he doesn't know if he's truly thought about the consequences of being a vampire. And one of the best ways she does is she tells him, well, we should just go and have a chat with your friend and maybe make him understand where you're coming from. And I love a lot of the transitions that were done in this episode, by the way. Especially one at the beginning was like it was raining, and then it started raining blood, and then it went back to rain. That transition was like so sick. I absolutely love it. And yeah, so as they carry on, Ko's with Akira, and they're just kind of like in the swing set talking about what's gonna happen after he becomes a vampire. And she kind of points out that, hey, if you ever need it, I'll be the first one you can sip blood from. So I think that's kind of like a dangerous move to kind of play, because if Ko or if he becomes a vampire, she definitely seems to be harboring feelings for him. I feel like if he does that to her, he'll turn her. And I don't know if he's ready to quite accept that responsibility of getting an offspring that as soon as turning. But it is certainly interesting that Akira does want to help out Ko, and she is willing to take that risk of becoming a vampire herself. Or maybe she does not have harbor any feelings. Is that why she's confident that she she won't turn into a vampire afterwards? But then Mahiru arrives with Kiku, and it's like as soon as Ko sees Kiku, there's this vision of a vicious vampire that he just envisions really quickly. And that was like a sick transition as opposed to how she came in all friendly towards him. And Ko just was so freaked out by the bloodlust that she emitted that he kind of just tried to run for it and dropped his phone. And Kiku would have none of that. He went after him to give him back his phone as a false pretense, and she just wanted to make sure Ko understood that he he doesn't know that she's a vampire, and that she doesn't want him spilling the beans. And because she apparently actually cares about him and wants to tell him in the right time. And Ko was like not having that. He was kind of like, listen, if you really care about my friend, you should probably let him know as soon as possible that you're a vampire. And he was being very pushy about it too. So like she kind of took it the wrong way and was like, well, listen, I told you not to be pushy about it. I told you that I'm going to do it when I want. And the transition of her talking to him into like this menacing stare at him was so well done. Like, I absolutely love the transitions that this anime is doing. And obviously with the music that's been playing in the background, and when it switches completely because of the transition as well, it just everything's just flowing so well in this section of the anime. Especially this episode seems to be put in a lot more effort than in the previous one. And then Mahiru kind of like comes in, and it seemed like Kiku was about to do something to Ko, but because Mahiru arrives and stopped her before she did anything, she kind of like reluctant, but she's like, well, I guess since you're here now, I'll tell you what we were talking about. And she was like, I'm a vampire. She lets him know she's a vampire, but that she she reluctantly does it, and is like telling him like, no matter what, I will not turn you into vampire, which is kind of like interesting, because it feels very manipulative of her to say this to him, as now that he knows, he's going to be more intrigued about her. And it seems obvious, like from this point of view, that Mahiru definitely cares about her, so that's why she doesn't drink blood from him, or maybe she's pulling off something with them, and that's because as soon as Mahiru was like he wouldn't mind, and she kind of was like, oh, I got him. She got this like smile to her, like, yeah, I can turn him into a vampire whenever I want. Kind of like she feels a rush that this kid wants to be turned into a vampire, and the fact that he didn't reject her once he found out was even more exhilarating, like, to her. And we can really see like Ko kind of wants to help Mahiru and wants to be there for him, and he doesn't know if like he should tell him like about Kiku, because he finds out that Kiku actually is a vampire that has gone and produced many offspring. So there's been multiple people she sucked blood from, has made fall in love. So it definitely feels like she is using Mahiru to an extent from here on out. But he doesn't. But Ko contemplates because like he doesn't really want to see his friend get hurt. Like if he tells him this, or like if he actually wants to be a vampire to prevent him from doing what he wants, because obviously his friend is supportive of him. Even tells him like, yeah, if you turn vampire, I'll allow you to get some blood from me as well from Akira too. And Ko and Mahiru meet once again late at night, and Ko admits, yeah, I got feelings for her, and pretty much she then actually also sees uh, Akira at school, and they get to talking, and she's kind of like, do you actually want to be camel vampire? And he's like, I don't know. But then she's like, yeah, right, because Mahiru is actually a very smart kid, so he actually knows what he wants. He actually thinks about things more properly than Ko, and he she lets him know like, yeah, the reason why Ko was had such an easy time deciding to want to become a vampire this is because he doesn't really think things through. And she realized, well, he's so unlike you, which then Mahiru kind of like becomes himself and frees himself from the other kids he surrounded himself with, which were kind of like troublemakers. And he really just tells them straight up, like, listen, I do not like hanging out with you guys. He gets beat up for it, but Akira's like, yes, this is who you are. And she then walks off wondering, okay, what's going to happen if both of them become vampires? She's going to be like the only one left out, seemingly. And yeah, really interesting way that afterwards, like, Ko kind of calls two other vampires, but these vampires are like guys, or and they go into the spa where Ko gets to talk to one of them, and Miharu gets to talk to the other, and both of them kind of like come to a conclusion, right? Where like Mahiru is like very aware that he does want to become a vampire afterwards, and Ko is made aware that his feelings are kind of like warranted, and that he should just trust that his friend is gonna do the right thing. And Mahiru is the one that takes Akun's advice a little too literal and actually becomes too much like Akun, which ended up being kind of funny. And one of the things that was really noticeable that I didn't pick up right away until like the end was that Akun's glasses shifted after he got out of the bathhouse, and seemingly he is in cahoots with the girl vampire hunter that we met at the end of last season. So she appears again and was like, listen, Ko, you lied to me last time. Really, really great stuff. This episode was really nice, really flowed well. Obviously the animation was outstanding, and gotta hand it to this anime. I am really looking forward to the next episode. Rating this one 9 out of 10.